help you keep your remote teams engaged during your all hands meetings and other meetings. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen and get started right now. Here we go. So I've already introduced myself, and I'm pretty easy to recognize. I'm the guy wearing the Scoot t-shirt, and I'm just over on the left side of the room. As you get familiar with the platform, you'll see that you can move around. You can use, not while I'm in presentation mode, but you can use your arrow keys if you hold them down, and you can connect with other people who have joined us or with somebody from Scoot. Our agenda is going to be fast. It's going to be exciting. First, we're going to go over kind of what are all hands meetings about? Why are we here? Why do you want to improve them? We're actually going to do some activities, which will be very short, but also, I think, very enlightening. And then I'll get into the content and the tips, and we'll have Q&A, and we'll have some networking time. So I won't waste any time, and I'll go ahead and get started right now. The first is, why do we even do all hands meetings? Now, an all hands could be company-wide, could be departmental or a division. It's just kind of a big internal meeting, and we call that an all hands meeting. Why do we do them? Well, first of all, there's just basic stuff that we have to do, like just telling people what the company's goals are, what our strategy is. When everyone's scattered across the country, there's no way for them to know that. So we need to let them know what the company's working on. We review how we're doing against those goals, kind of key results, and we share updates or news like new employees, new customers, perhaps a new product that we're launching. These are all important things that we do. We get feedback from customers, including like, what do you think is important that we do about our new benefits package? Or maybe how do you feel about the company's new products? And then there could just be some very administrative matters like, don't forget to turn in your, registration for, the company holiday party, or just something very similar. So we call this the business stuff. And I would be willing to bet that you already do a pretty good job with most of your business aspects of your meetings, right? You have an agenda, you go through your content, and you make sure all of that gets put out, right? But the problem is, are people paying attention? Are they engaged, right? Do they want to know what the company's strategy is? Or are they excited about the company's goals and willing to work hard to get those to happen, right? So we really don't have a problem with the basics. What we want is we want to take our all hands meetings to the next level, which include things like creating authentic connections, right? Taking our company culture and making everyone feel a part of it. Maybe the most important one is breaking down the silos between departments. When everyone's dispersed, they are pretty good with the people that they work with every day. They're chatting with them, they're calling, they're doing videos, but between silos, they almost never talk to each other. And, how do you get teams to trust each other, to innovate, to get aligned behind goals and help each other? That's another purpose of all hands meetings, getting everyone fired up, right? We want our teams to be excited and even enjoy each other. We call that the human aspect, or the human stuff of an all hands meeting. That's the part that you're probably here to learn more about, because engagement is not boring business content. Engagement is getting people excited about that business content, and it makes it more important to them. Now, people who know me know that I'm, into a lot of different kind of philosophies. And I bring up this yin and yang because it helps us to illustrate how you balance two sides of your business. The first side of your business is the performance or cognitive aspect. We call that the cognitive culture. This is the part of your business that must go out there, sell, build great products, win. You've got to perform, got to get things done fast, right? There is a part of business an important part of it, that it's all about performance, and everyone in the company needs to know what they have to do in order to win. And that's the cognitive side of it. But the other side of a company culture is the sustaining energy, right? I can't just go, 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 go every day without knowing why I'm doing that. Or if I'm having a tough day, maybe I need support from the company. Maybe I need emotional support from my boss. Maybe I need some mentorship. Maybe I need some guidance. And the sustaining energy is the part of our business that allows us to feed our teams to want to and be able to perform and do that business stuff. So in the all hands meetings, we kind of have these two expectations, right? Where we're going to get business done, but we also want and we know that we have to provide that sustaining energy. That's commonly called engagement, right? It's that flow of energy between you and your teams. And you only have about 60 minutes to do that in your typical all hands meeting. When people are in person, there tends to be a lot more time given to it, but usually an all hands meeting is 60 minutes. You've got to get it done then, right? Including the engagement part. How can you do that? It's especially difficult when you think that the human attention span is actually less than that of a goldfish. And I know that that's crazy to think about, but it's true. And we know that, 95% of people report that they multitask during their all hands meeting, right? Answering their email, doing some work. Are they really paying attention? So engagement requires attention. And so if you're interested in improving the engagement of your all hands meeting, that means that you are in the attention business, and we're going to get that above the goldfish level. So how do we do that? All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an energizer activity. Now, you came into this Scootiverse and you got placed in the room. There's some Scoot representatives around, and you'll recognize them with their backgrounds. Okay, I'm using a blurred background right now, but there are Scoot backgrounds that you can use, and you'll see most of our team members will have a background on them that's kind of looks like this. Okay, you can find them in the room with the background that looks like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to stay in the groups or form into small groups, and we're just going to talk for a minute or two. And what we're going to do is we're going to just talk to each other. How many people are in your company? How often do you get together in your all hands? And what is the one thing that you want to improve most in your all hands meeting? All right. Now, this will require something that you may not have expected today, which is engagement. Isn't that ironic that in our webinar about how to create a more engaging all hands meeting, we're going to ask you to be more engaged than you may have expected to be. So how do we do that? Well, I see a couple cameras going on, that's a great first step, right? Get your camera turned on and get ready to talk to somebody, right? It's not going to change your life this next 3 minutes, but it is going to show you what it's like to pull your team a little bit away from their multitasking, away from their kind of realm that they're in, and interact with each other. Now, if you're in a situation where you can't get your camera on, that's fine. Just stay in your group and you can participate on audio as well. But the idea is to just give you a little bit of a flavor of the reverse, right? This is how your team feels when you're asking them to engage. And we're going to ask you to do the same thing with a pretty harmless question, which is, what is the one thing most that you want to improve about your all hands meeting? Of course, you're here, which means that you got to have something you want to improve. So I'm going to jump out of presentation mode. We'll just have a couple quick conversations. You can just listen or you can participate, and Claire will let us know when time is wrapping up, and then I'll jump back up and I'll give you the meat of the content after this first presentation. After this first kind of energizer activity. Okay, let's do it. Thank you for your time in those. I'm going to actually go ahead real quick and put myself back into blur mode because I am a person who just can't stand when my hair is like all, like twinkly and fuzzy sometimes when there's a virtual background. And I just like it better when there's a blur. So I'm just going to stick with the blur for right now. Okay. Hope everybody is okay with that. But I am wearing my Scoot t-shirt. All right, so let's get going here. So now I'm actually going to give you some real meaty tips. And these tips are not just for Scoot, okay? So we're going to organize the tips for making your all hands meetings more engaging into two categories. First category is that business stuff that I was talking about. How can you make the business content and the administrative stuff more interesting? And then later, we'll get into how you can actually make the emotional side more powerful. So first of all, accessibility and participation. What does that mean? Well, one thing that we do is we put a little icon on the slides where we want people to participate in chat. And if you have like a 35 slide presentation, you can't expect people to know kind of when it's the right time for them to participate. So out of 35 slides, if you choose 3 or 4 or 5 of them and put a little icon on it, kind of like we did here, like on this slide, after you do that for a few meetings, people will begin to kind of get pattern recognition, and you can remind them that, oh, this is a good time. If you see this icon, that's where we want some conversation to start. You can do that on Scoot, you can do that on Zoom or Microsoft Teams or any platform, right? So we start off with one that's simple, but it does help people understand when should I speak up or say something, because they don't always know when. The second, again, for the business stuff, getting questions in advance of your meeting. So engagement is not just about now. Engagement is about the experience before, during, and after your meeting, right? It's a whole set of time. And if you ask people in advance, the ones that really are curious about something, they will send you a question in advance, and you can decide whether or not you want to address it. Of course, if you get a lot of similar impact, then you should address it, because the key to engaging content is content that people want and need to hear. So if you ask them in advance, even if you don't use it, they will be more engaged. That makes sense? Now, small group activities. You don't have to go very far, whether you are in college, business school, high school, even kindergarten. Instructors will do a short lecture, and then what do? They break people into small groups to talk about that content. That's a way to reinforce those key company messages, key company strategies and goals, right? It's not just one directional lecture. That's probably necessary. The leader needs to say, in their words, what they think, but breaking people off into small groups gives them a chance to talk to each other. And I am confident that the conversation that Anne-Marie and Shelby and I had was really very engaging, right? We talked about the exact issue that I was sort of lecturing about. And so it was a little microcosm of how you can just kind of change the dimension a little bit and let people talk to each other rather than just a talking head. And these are just some screenshots of people talking in small groups in Scoots, which obviously Scoot's a terrific platform for that. Prepping your speakers in advance. Now, not every CEO or division leader is going to want to be told that they need to practice their speech. Okay, they've been giving speeches for a long time, and they probably think that they're good at it. But even if you can get them to practice for 5 minutes or think in advance, you're going to have a better result, right? So it's worth constantly trying to help your speakers, even if they know what the agenda is. You know, some people, some speakers are much worse with kind of off the cuff things happening, and they really like to be prepared. They'd like to know what's going to happen. And if you have one of your speakers who you know is like that, they're going to love being prepared in advance, and they're going to feel more confident, and they're going to provide a better presentation. Now, those that are kind of really natural speakers and they like to wing it, that's the opposite, right? Which is they're very comfortable talking off the cuff, but what they're saying may not make any sense to the audience. And so helping your, like, people that are comfortable speaking prep in advance is all about making sure that they remember to say the most important things, right? So it's kind of, you've got like both sides of the equation there, and preparation helps speakers who are not comfortable speaking, and it also helps speakers who are comfortable speaking. So prepping them in advance makes a difference. And the bigger that the meeting is and the more important the meeting is, the more crucial it is to practice. Now, we're going to do one more Energizer activity. And you could stay in the group that you're in, or you can move around if you didn't like your group. And you don't have to tell them you didn't like them. You can just move away. It's beautiful, just like in real life, right? Oh, excuse me, I'm going to go check out this beautiful room, and then you can go. And all we're going to do here is talk about a simple issue. This one will be even a little bit shorter than the last one, which is what percentage, it's kind of controversial, what percentage of your employees have cameras on during your all hands? Now, remember, we said that 95% of people said that they multitask during their all hands meeting. Okay, what your percentage is what it is. But the controversial part is, what do you think the ideal percentage is? Okay, I guarantee you there'll be some different thoughts on this, and we will get some chats and some other information up in afterwards. So I'm going to stop presenting again, jump into my group. I'm going to stay where I'm at. If you'd like to change groups, please do so. And all you have to do is, what percentage does your employees have, and what do you think the ideal is? That's it. It's going to be a short exercise. We'll be right back. Hopefully this will give you some more energy, get some more cameras on. If we were going to do an all hands meeting with Scoot, we would let those be a good 5 to 10 minutes long. And I might even move around kind of from spot to spot in order to actually kind of check in on people and see kind of how they're doing. So you are experiencing a turbo version of these Energizer activities. And of course, the beauty of it is that you can run your meetings however you think you need to. So if you think people need more time, then you should give them more time. All right, here we go. But nevertheless, I know everyone is curious about some of these great tips. So for the human side of a meeting, which is, how do I get the team to actually emotionally connect during an all hands meeting, right? Here are some great tips that we do. First of all, and this might be the most important one, is celebration, reflection, and recognition, right? There's nothing like the power of a another teammate telling you what you love, what they love about you. And here is a pretty good example of, this is a real screenshot of a recognition party that we had at our all hands meeting. So at Scoot, we have a weekly all hands meeting. And most of the time, when I got about 5 minutes at the end of it, I will tell everyone to go to our Slack channel, which is our recognition channel. And I will ask them just to recognize a teammate who has done something, for them or for the company that week. And you'll notice, if you look, 10:58, 10:58, 10:58, 10:58, 10:58. That's at the last 5 minutes of my all hands meeting, right, which ended. And so everybody in the company is just firing in these recognitions. The Slack channel is going crazy. Typically, we'll get 50 to 100 just in a few short minutes, and it's incredible. So whether you're using a recognition platform or just a simple Microsoft Teams or Slack channel, it's super powerful and empowering and engaging for everybody. So if you're not doing that, I highly recommend you do it. It only takes a few minutes. Even if you only have 2 minutes left, you can get it, because it will extend a little bit past the hour. Now, movement. What is important about movement? You've always heard that like good speakers use their hands. Like, I'm using my hands a lot today, because I know that as you're looking at me, my hands moving is going to help you stay awake. This is because as we evolved as human beings, we were sort of, well, it's crucial to stay alive to pay attention to the tiger in the bushes. So the human eye cannot ignore movement. It can ignore a lot of things, but it cannot ignore movement. If it sees movement, it automatically pays attention. So you'll notice really good speakers in TED Talks, they're moving back and forth on the stage, or you'll notice a good speaker virtually is using their hands. But if you can use movement during the meeting like we've used it today, as you've seen people move around the scoot room, that also wakes them up. And so movement is crucial to attention, right? And that's because of even these tigers in the bushes right here make me want to move a little bit. Social bookends. What does that mean? Well, if you have a happy hour, a lot of times companies will say, well, I'm going to do my all hands meeting in Zoom, and then I'm going to have a happy hour like later. And actually, nobody comes to the happy hours, right? Because it's like after hours, everyone's tired, it's not mandatory. So how do you get everyone to break down silos and show up? Well, the answer is you have to put that social time at the beginning and the end of your business meeting, the networking time, the social bookends. And you can see from this poll that we did on LinkedIn that the thing that employees want from their all hands meeting is more social time. Well, you can't actually give that to them on Zoom or Microsoft Teams, but you can give it to them if you're using a platform that enables people to have social agency, moving around and going and finding the people that they want to talk to. The socializing requires me to decide who I talk to. And then finally, breaking state. So what we're going to do here is we're going to change things up a little bit, a little surprise for everyone. Okay. And we're going to invite a special guest to come up here and join me. Right. And as soon as that special guest gets up here, it won't be a surprise anymore. So I'm sure that our team is working on, oh, hello.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
How are you doing? So this is Elizabeth Sparks. She is a brand new team member. She joined us when, Elizabeth? When did you join us?
This Monday, so just 3 or 4 days ago.
Okay, 4 days ago. She's up here. Where are you from?
I am from a town called Flower Mound, Texas, and there really is a mound of flowers that it's named after.
Okay, so we do this in our all hands meetings. We bring people up and introduce them. I thought it'd be fun to just kind of see, what it'd be like to introduce someone new. First of all, one question we always ask people is, are you a dog or a cat person?
I am definitely a dog person, probably by default because I don't have any cats, but I think I like dogs better.
And tell us about your previous job. Where did you come from and why did you join Scoot?
So I came from Deloitte Consulting, and I was working there as a technology consultant. I joined Scoot because working at a big company like Deloitte, I saw firsthand how difficult it was to make connections and make friends and mentors all virtually. So I wanted to use that experience that I got for the better and join somewhere that could help revolutionize how we interact today.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us up here.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, you're free to leave. That's just an example of breaking state, right? Which is, you've heard me as a talking head this whole time, and here we bring up someone to kind of change unexpected. Okay, so that's a key to creating a great emotional, and of course, she's an easy person to talk to. So thanks, Elizabeth. Now, the last thing that I'm going to do, and we're get into some Q&A here shortly, but plan it out. What does that mean? Well, if you think that you'll take some of these tips and your next all hands meeting is gonna be awesome, it'll be better, but it takes 3 all hands meetings, programmatically to get to the state where you're going to have 95% of participants with cameras on. In my conversation, we heard 33% cameras on. One was 60% cameras on, and ideal was more than 50% or 80 to 90%. Well, typically in a Scoot meeting, we'll see 90, 95% of cameras on, but you're going to bring your team there, right? The first time they join a Scoot meeting, like you did today, you didn't know that, it was going to be this interactive experience. And so maybe you weren't in a position to have your camera on. But from time to time, as our clients join, well, Anne Marie is here. She's with one of our clients. She certainly had her camera on because she knew what to expect. But maybe even more important than cameras on, I will guarantee you that after 3 meetings, 100% of your executives will be in that meeting, moving around, meeting new employees, and bringing that connection, that emotional piece back, right? Because it's not, you heard Elizabeth say, the mentorship, right? For young employees, how do they get mentorship remotely? What am I supposed to is Elizabeth supposed to put 30 minutes on her boss's calendar for mentorship? Well, probably not. You're going to hallway that. You're going to bump into them. So it takes 3 meetings. Plan it out. We have the team that can help you do that. And after you do it, start to measure it. Measure the percentage of cameras on, right? We'll typically see in a meeting that the cameras will start off and they'll get more on and on and on. And check and see how those browsers are in focus, right? Because you want to know. And as one of our members in my conversation were saying, don't tolerate disengagement during your all hands meeting. It's urgent for people to understand the company's goals. They need to know, where are we going? Are we there? Are we far? Are we close? They need to feel good when they get there, and they have to pay attention. So it's not a matter of just it's a nice to have. It's a must have. So in conclusion, and after this conclusion, we'll do some Q&A. There's 2 minutes. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what Scoot can do to help with some of these things. We talked about movement. I saw a question in the chat about audio proximity. So yes, as you leave one group and go to another, you'll detach from that conversation and join another one. That's how we get social agency. That's how I can network, right? Because what's important to me to network is not the same thing that's important to you. So I got to go talk to my boss. Maybe you want to go talk to an old friend. That's socializing. I'm up here, I'm sharing my screen. We also have that capability for us to do that in the small groups. So that if I wanted to show my dog to my small group, I could do that, right? So as we do that breaking out into groups, you can actually have group leaders with screen sharing to reinforce content. And, seeing everybody else move around on that map is powerful because you're seeing that movement. You're seeing people wow, someone's moving. That means somebody's doing something, right? It's a lot different than, I call it the jail of the static rectangles, right? Don't put me in jail. Don't put me in Microsoft Teams jail. Don't put me in. Okay, for a one-on-one meeting, Microsoft Teams is great. For 6 people, 10 people, it's fine. It's great. It's just a meeting. But if you're talking about a bigger team meeting, don't expect it to give you any energy because you're putting everybody in jail. Nobody likes being in jail. And then get audience feedback. Now, this is the last slide for the Scoot kind of, let's just say about us. There's not any risk to giving this a try. We have money back guarantee. We have customers that use our platform and we're well reviewed. And I think you could probably get a sense from interacting with our team today that we care deeply about this issue and we are excited and serious about making this change in the world. So you're experiencing Scoot. Not everybody on the planet knows us yet, but some big companies do. And some really important customers do. And we work really hard with our fanatical support. So if you're wondering, can I pull this off? What was this? What was that? We can help you figure out those things and put in a plan so that 3 meetings from now, you can kind of be where you want to be. Okay. Now, I'll open it up to some questions. And you can put your questions in the chat or you can fire them up directly. I'll go ahead.
Okay, so you talked about kind of why the cameras are important for engagement. I was wondering, how do we get people to turn their cameras on? And is there a way to do it without kind of forcing them to do it? And by the way, why is it important to have cameras and engage?
Well, it's a great point to not force people, Because if you just kind of say, hey, everybody turn your cameras on, that's like hammer from the top, worst possible idea. Nobody likes that. Go ahead, Anne-Marie.
Actually, I was just going to say thanks so much, Ed. I have to drop off, but it was very valuable information. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Anne-Marie. Thanks for coming.
All right. Take care.
Okay. So Anne-Marie is with Johnson & Johnson. I was really glad to have her here today. She's one of our customers, and really, really valuable insight. So if you're interested in kind of how we work with them, you can catch me in the middle of the room. But to answer Gab's question, the first thing about cameras on is that people have to want to have them on, right? And if I want to have my camera on, it's like, why? Why do I want to have my camera on? Well, I don't need my camera to watch a talking head. I don't have a camera on when I'm watching TV at night, so I have to have a camera on in order for the networking. That's the reason people do it, right? You can't get cameras on unless it's important for people to network. Now, if you can meet your boss, if you can meet your teammates, you're going to have your camera on. Now, it won't be in the first meeting. That's why we say it'll take you 3 meetings to get there, right? Because people need to realize, like, oh, it's one of those Scoot meetings. I'm going to have to make sure that I comb my hair and put on a shirt, and I'm ready to go. Same as you would if you went to the office. Nobody shows up to work in their pajamas. They show up, and so if they know it's going to be a more engaging experience, they'll be ready for it. As long as they know. And finally, if they have their camera on and they're engaged for the networking and for everything else, the rest of it will just flow. So the rest of it will just be, that engagement will carry on. Engagement isn't something that lasts just like 2 seconds. Great question. Any other questions? Celia.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Other companies who use Scoot, do they use it as their primary mode of communication, like instead of Zoom or Slack, or do they use it in conjunction with those tools?
They use it in conjunction with it because, first of all, it's not a chat platform like Slack, so it doesn't have chat channels and all that stuff. And for like super small one-on-one meetings and everything else, companies will typically kind of keep that, or they'll use their Microsoft Teams or whatever for that. So what we are now actually fast forward 5 years, 10 years, I think I would give you a different answer than that. But for now, as you look at a company like Johnson & Johnson, I think Anne-Marie said that they have 220,000 employees. So, as they go on a journey to try to make their all hands meetings and their customer meetings, it's terrific for them to use us for their meetings that are like 10 people, 20 people, 100 people, even 2,000 people. We do meetings for them. And so anytime you're thinking about that aspect where people really need to connect with each other, that's the time to do it. If it's just like a quick one-on-one catch up, it's not necessarily, a replacement for it.
Yeah, no, because I think it's interesting. We're pretty good at our company with the cameras on. Admittedly, it did start as a company policy, but now everybody just does it. And if someone doesn't, even our brand new software developers who are junior will call out a manager and say, hey, out of sight, out of mind, insight, in mind. So it's almost become one of our values here. But that's where I think we've struggled, is getting that real engagement and connection, in our meetings, past that just seeing each other's faces. So,
well, it's good. I mean, you're here. You're clearly interested in making it better. And what you've done is what you can do with the tools that you've got. And I would love to talk to you more to see if there's something else that you can do.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much.
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, someone asked me this, but I actually think it's a good question for the whole room. Does Scoot have mobile access? Which,
oh my gosh,
is
so
important
glad.
for a lot of people join, they said, from their phone. So
yes, not only do we have mobile, we have great mobile, and you can get the full experience on your iPhone or on your Android device, and that's crucial because whether they're at an airport, just kind of getting on their plane, or running on a 4.5-year-old Lenovo laptop, with standard 10 megabyte Wi-Fi. your all hands meetings, hundreds of people or more, you're going to get down into that 1% of people who are using Firefox, or 1% of people who are, on their mobile phone, or surprisingly, sometimes people's computers die. They can only join on mobile phone. So we have invested a ton of time and money and energy in our product vision to make our mobile experience incredible. And it's probably our biggest differentiator from all of the other kinds of interactive platforms out there. It is, mobile is crucial. So we not just support it, we make the mobile experience really, really, really good. Okay.
Hey there. I was just wondering, how often do you think that people should be meeting in person? So we've been talking about all hands, and I'm actually in a group with Celia, and we had discussed that, they kind of do a hybrid all hands where they get together, some of their people get together in person, the others join virtually. So I was just wondering if you have any tips as far as that, and how often we should do that.
Well, hybrid is another huge area for us, where we have a terrific hybrid experience. So we can take, if you have like 100 people on site and 300 people remote, that on site, you're going to have a camera, right? Because you're probably already pumping that out to the rest of the team on Zoom or Microsoft Teams, right? So not only we can take that feed and we can put it exactly where I am right now. So we can have a Scoot room with your 300 people, and they're all networking with each other. And then the people in person are networking, and we can get that content into the Scootiverse. But more than that, we also, because we have mobile phone, your executives and your keynote speakers who are almost certainly on site, not always, but are almost certainly on site for a big all hands meeting, they can join the Scootiverse on their phone and show their face and be present with the remote employees. Okay, so, and then we can project the Scootiverse onto screens at the on-site location as well. So it's about making those people, being aware of each other, and then giving them ways to connect with each other. And we have a big future product vision for that as well. But even today, we have a lot of really great hybrid meetings that we support. Cool. Any other questions? Kind of getting to time here. So is there one more? I don't see any more. Okay. So if you do have a question and you just want to ask it privately, you can find a Scoot person who you were already talking with, or I will be directly in the middle of the room in that giant Scoot logo. I'm going to be right in the middle of it. Okay. So if you want to find me, we would love to talk to you. So, please let us know if you want a demo or just kind of discovery, just to kind of see whether this is something you want to look at further. Maybe bring some other people from your company to check it out and learn more. Definitely connect with one of us, and we'll go from there. So thank you so much for coming. Thanks, Celia. Thanks, everybody. We will look forward to talking to you again soon.